Candace J is really getting into the spirit of the joy of giving. Now, she's spelling out the word joy with wire on a pottery magnet.
Very cool.
Hi, Candace.
Hi, Candace.
Thank you, Tiffany and Heidi. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my studio of Perpetual Mojo. For this episode, I wanted to come up with something that you could make a lot of quickly and easily. And so I have a little box, and what's inside of it is a joy, and you will want to give it to everyone. Sit back and relax, because it's all happening now. I'm starting with a piece of a bowl. It was a Marjorie Margulies bowl, and I was very disappointed when it broke. But I'm happy that I'm going to get to use it in this project. I'm using the wheeled tile cutters that Heidi showed us, and I'm trimming it roughly square. I'm sanding with this sanding sponge, and you can kind of shape it this way, but this is mostly to get the rough edges off, the sharp edges. For this next part, I want to write the word joy using 20 gauge wire, and this happens to be copper. It's my favorite. You'll need a pair of round nose pliers, and you can start either at the beginning or the ending of your word. Now I use the wide part of the round nose pliers to make the upper part of the J. I'm going to use the narrow end to make this whole letter, and you want to make sure that it fits well within the borders of your magnet. So now I have, there we go. Now I want to go into the O, and in cursive, the O starts over the top but then circles back around over the bottom. So I'm just going to crimp that. And then I'm going to come back around. I can go a little bit wider or roll it up a little bit more. Yeah, that looks better. And then it will loop at the top. And of course that'll be at the very end of your wire because that needs to be a small loop. There you have the loop at the top of the O. And then for the Y, that starts at the top. And let me get a little closer. And then circles around, and I'm going to have to crimp this the way I crimped the beginning of the O as well. Now you can just keep rolling up until you get to the bottom of your last cursive letter, and then that way you have a nice straight letter. So we're going to crimp this, and that's where the Y comes off of the O, and then of course it's going to fold back down, and that will need to be crimped as well. That's a little high. Let's go lower than that. Okay, now your letters will move around, and you just have to move them back where you want them. I think that's probably a decent size for the top part of the Y. And then of course the Y circles back up in a loop. I keep grabbing the wrong pliers there. And crosses over itself. Double check it's going to fit. Yes, it is. Now I have room for just a little bit of a flourish. So I'm going to trim that off and curl that down. And now I have my letters. Of course, you can also use letters that are already made. You could do individual letters with the wires and glue them all on. I have done that, and that looks very lovely. Now I'm ready to add a little bit of color and bling by pouring some, well, these are called micro beads, but they're not really beads, they don't have holes in them. But I mix all of the colors that I get to create this very fun confetti kind of color deal. I'm using the clear gel tacky glue to go along the edges, and I'm using a fair amount, and then I'm just going to pick up some color. You can do this after you've glued on your word and after that's dry, but I'm going to do one more thing to the front of this. So I'm doing this first. If they don't sit exactly the way you want them, you can adjust them. Now I'm just going to set it down. And I've already decided that this is how I want my word to go. Just like that. So I'm going to put a layer of the clear gel tacky glue all over the front. And it's going to level itself out. Even if it doesn't look like it, it is going to level itself out. Oh, I got a couple of beads in there that stuck to the end of the glue. So I'm going to take my craft knife and lift them out. And I'm also going to pop a couple of glue bubbles. And I'm going to direct it a little bit closer to the edge there and over here. And now I'm just going to drop the word on. And move it until I like the position. And you can see I'm pushing it down just a little bit as well. And you'll want to let that dry mostly overnight. And when it's completely dry, you will glue a magnet onto the back, and I used Aleene's original tacky glue to do that because I needed a nice firm hold. The last part of this gift is an origami box. They're very easy to make, and I'm going to post a link where you can go and see how they're made. I added the same detail to the bottom of the outer box, and then I added stringy yarn and a pearl bead. Right here is the link to show you how to make the origami box. And let yourself get carried away with it. Decorate it and make it as fancy as your little bit of joy inside of it. I think I'm going to include a note in this one for my BFF that says, "You are a joy to me." I hope that you're inspired to try something like this. I hope that if you do, you take pictures and show me. Email me, Candace@cool2craft.com, with your photos and stories. Stay crafty, my friends. Back to you, Tiffany and Heidi. Bye!